Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harris. Thank you so much for stopping back by. Remember, click below, like, subscribe, comment, share, rate, review, all that fun stuff. Let us know what you think and if you're even there. So today we're doing something new. Never done it before. We have two guests, Anthony and Candace Coffey. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So we know each other through the Investor Fuel Mastermind. That's how we got to know each other. We've done some business. Why don't y'all just take a minute and tell everybody kind of who you are, what you do?
Fantastic. Well, again, I'm Anthony, and this is my beautiful wife, Candace. We own Faithful Homebuyers KC. We are based out of Kansas City, Missouri. We are a real estate solutions-based company. We solely focus on helping sellers get across the finish line, and distressed sellers they're usually facing foreclosure, probates, houses usually in heavy distress. And then we are also 100% funded by OPM. So we give our private investors double-digit returns while we help out the community, adding housing to the community and adding labor forces to the marketplace as well. The products we put out, everybody loves. We're raising property values. And then we also are wholesaling these properties as well, selling them to other investors and helping their portfolio as well. So we love what we do. We've been doing it for about 10 years. Candace runs the operation sides of everything. Our team is about 15 people deep. We have about 5 people in the Philippines working virtual assistants. 3 people are working acquisitions and 4 are working lead manager. So we have a small team, but we love what we do, and we're constantly learning to add value to everybody we're doing business with. And we're a big believer of adding value and relationships over profits.
Our goal is to be the face of Kansas City. The people that they call is Faithful Homebuyers KC.
Correct.
I love it.
We plan on doing this for many, many years and raising up a good, what's it called? The product to the marketplace and adding jobs as well.
I think, not to get off track, but so many people think of investors as just people making money off of houses, and they don't realize the way that we improve communities, streets, and provide affordable housing. Mm-hmm. And even more important, get housing back into service that oftentimes is not in service, sitting there vacant, unused, run down. And so I'm a big fan of what you guys do. I'm a big fan of this industry as a whole. And now we move on to the bluff. The bottom line up front, when I was in the Marine Corps, you're Army guy, right?
Army.
Yeah,
correct.
I'm sorry. There'll be a lot of that throughout the episode, just so you know. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I briefed a lot of generals. And so the idea is, you never buried the lead, like when you're in the sales, right? You have to tell the general most important thing first in case there's a mortar attack or he has to get up and leave. You need him to know what's most important. So I want you to take up to 2 minutes. Now, who's going to do this? Candace? Anthony? Candace? Anthony?
I'll do the bluff.
All right.
I'll do the bluff.
So, Anthony, up to 2 minutes, what you see going on in the market, things you think people should be looking at, maybe things you think people should be avoiding, the best stuff you got, up to 2 minutes. You ready? Go.
All right, guys, here's the bluff. We're currently going through our first market shift, and we've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and we are definitely seeing the struggles in this market shift. As I said earlier, we are a 100% OPM. We also use a lot of hard money as well. So with this market shift that we're seeing, the loan to values are dropping, the appraisals are being way more conservative, and we made the mistake of buying way too many heavy rehabs at one time and not having the labor force to put those to market. During that market shift, it got hectic, it got crazy. Our time to get our products to market took longer, and we are definitely seeing the pain points because of that. We became a lot better from this pain point, and I am grateful we went through this pain point. But yes, the market is shifting, money is getting more expensive, days on market is a little longer. So you got to make sure your product is priced correctly and affordable and know who your customer is. You don't want to put out a product that your customer is not going to want that. So that's very important, knowing your marketplace and knowing how you can add value to everybody you're doing business with. As I said earlier, relationships over profits, that goes across the board of whoever you're doing business with. It could be a seller, a buyer, a contractor, a title agent, an attorney, a lender, anybody. So we're a big believer in adding relationships over profits and adding value. We've helped a lot of sellers out where we've just done it for free. And again, we believe in reciprocity, and we believe what you put out, you get back somewhere down the line. So that's what I have to say about that.
So I've said a lot on stage recently that fast and simple wins the day. And a lot of our customers got into those heavy rehabs, which it's not about the heaviness of the rehab, it's the length of the project. And when the market's moving on you and the project's not moving for you, I've been in that situation. You know, when in the '07 subprime crash, I had 38 vacant houses. And I'm telling you, the next 180 days was just awful.
Yeah.
It was just awful. And, you know, I was lucky to make it out without a foreclosure and still married.
Lucky. You were a lucky one.
A lot of us didn't. I have friends that were doing hundreds of houses a year that ended up divorced and bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so kudos to you guys for working through it and doing what you say you were going to do, because some people did just throw their hands up in the fourth quarter and say, nah, you can worry about that, right?
Yeah, a lot of people dropped out of the business. You know, you see that now is the people that are able to be in the business now are the ones who overcame that struggle that we've seen recently.
And then adding more, getting creative and pivoting during that market shift, having to adjust according to the market. And so we're doing a lot more creative deals this way. But yeah, if you're buying cash, it has to be way deep now and a conservative ARV with an aggressive rehab, if that's the target you're going for.
Which is the way you did it before COVID, right? Like, I mean, let's be honest. We've just gone back to where you actually have to do some math and be good at what you do to make money, right? Like, and we all got Look, I mean, at RCN, the saying is bad habits are formed in good times, right? And when money is 3% and LTVs are 80 and loan to cost is 100, it's easy to make loans, right? And so last year, our problem was with our sales staff converting their mentality from order taker to consultant, right? Because when the customer called, they still needed a loan, but the market confused them. The values confused them. The appraisals confused them. And you had to really just help them see their options and try to solve their problem. Instead of, oh, you want the 3% at 80? Done. You know, email me the list. We'll go ahead and close the loan, right? Like, I mean, it's just, I feel you. So we know you were in the Army. What did you do before this?
I was a leasing agent, actually. So I leased apartments for a apartment complex. And I was like, well, he's selling houses. Why am I making these little tiny returns selling apartments or renting apartments when I can be his listing agent? So got licensed, decided to jump in headfirst with him in real estate and be the company real estate agent. And that has turned into building a team for our company to list and buy properties for our company now.
And you guys have kids?
Yes, we have one.
One beautiful angel.
How do you manage? So many of the customers are husband-wife teams. Yes. And this business can have a tendency to start stealing your time. And my wife and I, we've had to be really intentional, like not to talk business on date night. But it overruns you, right? How do you guys handle keeping your relationship separate from the business as much as possible?
It's been a challenge. It's really tough. Having a partner who is very open-minded and patient. I know I'm very hard to be with, and same thing. I'm 100% into the business because the business is what floats our lifestyle. And so during that market shift, I was in the office 6-7 days a week, 14 hours a day, especially trying to build to the culture, add to the team. People are quitting on you, or you got to fire them either way. Just try to get the processes going. But again, having a fiduciary responsibility, not just throwing your hands up, walking away. Having your core values and your integrity to see this through the end. But that also takes a toll on the marriage and the relationships. Not being with my beautiful wife, she was getting upset. So it was very important on us trying to get this team built and getting these these units back to market and get the money back in rotation. So it was a challenge, but now, I mean, we implement date nights at least twice a month. I try to work on myself, on reflection, and we try to have open communication on what's working and what's not working. But it's a constant relationship. All relationships, platonic or romantic, or however you want to see our business, they need work. You need to constantly see both parties, and both parties need to respect each side.
And now we would say for the truth.
So
Sorry.
he's like, that's the boring parts. No, for me, I have to be a good supporter, a good wife, and somebody that can listen to him when he's really stressed. And I have to be able to, really listen at what's going on in the company and be supportive for, the struggles that we have faced. We had to switch our business up. And with that, it meant he was not home a lot. And it was really hard for our relationship. We did fight a lot, but, in the end, we both want the same things, and we have to come to an agreement, as in, do we want to do this business still? We got into this business to have financial freedom and time with our family and kids. We can't forget why we got into this business.
Right.
So I have to constantly remind him, like, hey, business is still going to be there tomorrow. Your family, though, also needs to see you. So just remember, take time out of your day to make time for little things. And that is really important in our business, is, spend time, no matter if it's like a lunch date. We'll go on a lunch date in the middle of the day, and that's good enough for us.
You gave me chills. I mean, because I get wound up in my big ideas, visionary type stuff. And sometimes just walking down the hall and saying, hey, you want to go grab lunch?
Yeah.
Man, I'm good for a week after that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to shift. It's a struggle for me to have more diversity on this show. It's an industry dominated by white men.
Yes.
Right. If you look around the investor fuel mastermind, it's 80, 90%. And you come into the rooms and no one can tell, but you're 5 foot nothing.
I'm actually 4'11".
You're 4'11".
Thank you for giving me that.
Right. Yeah. I gave you an extra inch. And it can be intimidating. Could you talk a little bit about being a woman in this industry and maybe, I don't know, some struggles you've gone through, maybe some things you've learned, some things ways that you're successful, any of that?
Yes. So when I first got started and he brought me into Investor Fuel, I really have never been to a mastermind before. And sitting around a table full of different men and people I've never met before, our first meeting with Mike was, hey, you guys should separate and sit at different tables, and you guys shouldn't be together. You guys will do better that way. And Anthony and I did that the first, time we went. And then we're like, we're stronger as a couple because both of us do different roles in our business. And so in the beginning, I was basically doing the operations, like the building of the podio, skip tracing, doing the list and the marketing. And when we first got started, that was a lot of, when you get into Investor Fuel, was a lot of the struggles that these newer investors were doing. Right. So I had a lot to say, but nobody would really listen to me really without Anthony sitting next to me, because everyone thought that he was the person to ask those questions to. And then it wasn't until I started talking more and getting more comfortable about my role in, our company, did they start saying, oh, okay, Candace actually has a really big role here. Okay, let's hear what she's got to say. Let me see what you got going on with your systems and operations. And I was able to help a lot of different people in Investor Fuel, which made me feel really well, really good.
We about to say something.
What's that?
We about to say something?
No, I agree. I mean, when we first got there, obviously joining a new group, going into a new room, all that stuff can be a little intimidating and stuff. And then she's right. We are better together. We're a strong unit together. She runs the side of the company that I don't want to touch, and vice versa. You know what I mean? And I highly value her opinion, and she brings a lot of value to the table. We both raise money together. We both have ideas on the business, but we both, again, it goes back down to the respect. I respect everything she does and brings to the table, and vice versa. And if she were to leave or go something, I'd be a best, because I don't want to step in that side of it. So
same here, though. I don't want to touch his side of the business. We both are really good at having our separate roles and knowing what we're good at and what we're not good at.
But yeah, it was correct. I mean, whenever we got there, they split up, and they were asking me questions I didn't quite I couldn't add value to per se, and then vice versa. And so you bring us together, we can tackle the whole thing together and really add some value. But you split us up, you're like, I don't know.
I was the person they would come to, but hey, where do you buy your list from? How do you skip trace? What systems you guys using for text messaging or cold calling? I was like, oh, I got this for you guys. Anthony was kind of like, you have to ask her.
Yeah.
That's great. We're going to take a quick break, and then I want to talk a little bit. I've got some things I want to expand on. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for fast funding for your next fix and flip? What about leverage for your next long-term rental or vacation rental? Need capital for a new construction project? Look no further. RCN Capital has you covered. As the leading nationwide lender for real estate investors, RCN Capital offers short-term and long-term financing solutions for your next investment property. RCN Capital takes a common-sense approach to your loan request, offering high leverages and low rates backed by superior customer service. Whether you're investing in single-family properties or multifamily properties across the U.S., RCN Capital has funding options for you with no hoops to jump through and quick closings in as little as 2 weeks. Ready to get a quote for your next investment property? Visit rcncapital.com/podcast to apply today. There is no fee to apply. Again, that's rcncapital.com/podcast to apply today.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Herridge. I am here with the Coffeys, and I want to stick a little on what we were talking about. My wife, we joke around. Have you ever seen the TV show Billions?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's my Wendy, right? I come home and I've got all these ideas, or I may be mad at someone or fire that guy, and she's kind of like the one. She's the common sense in the relationship and in the business. And if I ever want to raise money, I just take her, because she's a nester, right? Like I'm a crazy person. I will spend every penny knowing that I'm going to make 10x that. She's one of those, like, she takes the money and like puts it over here. Is like, you can play with that. This is ours. How do you transition role? But then in the business, she stays out of my way, right? Like I'm doing things all the time that she has no idea. I'll be like, oh yeah, we bought this. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's a great deal. It's an apartment complex. She's like, holy crap, how much of our money are you taking? None. Oh, okay, fine. Right? Like it's separation, right? And so how do you then transition to home life? Like, are the roles opposite? Are they the same? Yeah, she's got an idea. She's ready.
I would say home life. When he brings it home, I'm like, no, you don't bring this attitude home, because if you do, I'm going to bite your head off.
Right.
Pretty much, I will bite your head off. You're home. We're not talking about business unless it's something good. I don't want to hear negative. I want to hear the good things that happened today, and that's really about it. We're the same way. Like, we're going to raise money. I'm a people person. I could talk. You could put me into a room full of people I've never met before, and I will be everyone's best friend. Anthony, I'm like, okay, hey, I've rubbed some elbows. All right, go. You talk the money. Go. You got this. So teamwork in that way. But when we get home, it's like, oh, mom and dad. We need to be mom and dad. We're not talking about business. We need to be a unit.
Right.
Yep.
It's really important to, same thing, just shut that line off between work. When you walk into the doors, it's just home life now. And again, it takes a lot of, I got to take my, flip the switch, because I'm always, you and I are the same, always thinking about business, always thinking about what we can do next, and really thinking about the family life and putting them as a priority, and really honing in on that.
I have to put my phone up. I have to go put it in my nightstand, plug it in around 7, 8 o'clock, because otherwise it just doesn't turn off. And then you get an idea, you send an email, or you get an idea, you make a post, or you get an idea, you make a note. And last night was one of those nights that, kid sports.
Yeah.
My wife has to take him up somewhere at 7 o'clock. I don't really wrap up till about 6:30, because I'd been at fuel all day. So I had a lot of stuff to catch up on. She's like, I'll take him to baseball. I was like, okay, great. I'll make dinner.
Yes.
And I remember they've been gone like 30 minutes and I was still working. And I was like, oh no. Like, well, because if I don't make, like,
yeah, it's going to make a wife very unhappy.
yeah, I was about to have to like run over the restaurant and pick up some to go and pretend that I made it. But it's just great, like, to turn off your phone and turn on some music. And in my case, I love to light the grill, right?
Yep.
And lit the grill, grilled some chicken and some vegetables and some corn. By the time they get home, I'm just happy dad, right? Like, I'm not stressed. I'm not worried about today. So I hear you. Like, you just have to have that line in the sand, because my personal website says, remember, the business is the vehicle, not the dream.
Right.
And so often that vehicle like overtakes our mindset. And becomes the why, right?
100%. And then really practicing some daily disciplines on putting the phone away, being actionable, having those actionable items to say, hey, this is what I have to do, and be intentional about it. Putting the phone away, having block time with your children, saying, hey, this is no phone, no distractions. I'm just focusing on you. I'm supposed to be cooking every Wednesday. Do I do it every Wednesday? No, I'm still working on it, but I mean.
Wednesdays are his long days. So I say he came up with his own schedule, and I don't keep him. I'm not on him about, hey, you're supposed to be home at this time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He came up with it. I'm going to let him, show me that he's going to stick to it. Now, on Wednesdays, when he's supposed to be cooking, it's also the day that our daughter goes to dance. So she goes to dance from 6 to 7:30. And so I'll drop her off at dance, but he needs to be there at pickup at 7 o'clock. I'm like, there's no reason you need to be at the office past 6:30. We live 30 minutes away from the office. Leave the office 6:30. If you're not there to pick up our daughter, oh man, that looks really bad on you. And I'll have dinner already, cooking right after I drop her off. So he comes home 7:30, and I'm like, all right, dinner's made. My husband's home. Let's have a good evening.
And then dropping her off in the mornings on Tuesday. Just having block days and scheduling around that is very important. And sticking to it. I mean, I have to really stick to it because mind slips and you forget a little bit. But
sometimes I gotta reel him back and say, what actions are you doing to really say that you're gonna be home on time? You're saying that you're sorry and you want to get better at being home more. What are you doing to do that, Anthony? He's like, I'm just saying it. I'm like, okay,
I think it's
read
really
it.
important that all entrepreneurs and investors hear this, and even business executives, right? It's there's a transition that we all have to make from work to home, right? And even I would argue home to self. One of my recent kicks is I've got to lose some weight. I've never been this heavy. I've just been working so hard, and I've been working with my kids, and Jennifer and I have a lot of fun. We've been to New York 3 times this year already. I think the big steak dinners and the enjoyable nights out to dinner. I mean, it got to where we were going out 3 or 4 nights a week, going to the town restaurant and just hanging out because the kid had baseball.
Yeah.
And he wanted to ride with his friends. And so it's like, hey, why mess up the kitchen, right? So it's kind of funny. It's like part of that personal accountability starts with me deciding that I'm going to take the steps. And it's one thing to time block it, like you were saying. It's another thing to show up to those appointments. Yeah. Right? And so I've got this great routine. We do a morning call every morning with all of our salespeople at RCN. And my kid goes to school at 8 o'clock, and that call's at 8:30. So one of the things I just started doing a couple weeks ago, it's been great, is when I get home from dropping him off, I go outside and just play with the dog, throw the ball, walk around. It's just 30 minutes of moving, right? Yeah. Not going right back to the computer, getting your coffee and rah, Because like you said, all that stuff will be there at 8:30. Yeah. It will. And so, and that's been fun. But then showing up to it, because then I think I time blocked it as just self is what it says, just to do something. Yeah. And then it never fails. You skip it, and all you can do is be better.
Off the wagon sometimes, and it's the wife's job to kind of be like, hey, remember, we're here.
But when you do that stuff, it's really powerful because you're in your normal routine, and then you step out of it for a second to play with the dog or cook for the family or do whatever, and it's like, wow, this really charges my stuff. I got to do more of it. Right. And it's just that daily discipline of actually doing more of it and not getting sidetracked. So actions speak louder than words, and I'm trying to get my actions better than my words.
I'm a baseball dad, so I don't want to spend more time with my kid. We have 5 games a week and 2 practices. It's just it's
a lot.
I'm like, bro, you got plenty of me. Right? But when I'm there, again, and I don't know why I'm going on and on about this. I feel I guess it's important for the listeners. It's important that I not be sitting there at his game on my phone. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because when he looks over
present
and he's in left field or whatever, or right field or shortstop, and he sees mom and dad aren't looking at him, right? Instead, I'm replying to emails or checking social media or replying to texts, or I'm walking around on the phone, angry talking to someone. Yeah. That's what I'm personally working on right now, is not just learning how to shut it off at home, but being more present.
Being more present, 100%.
And it's very hard to do in the business that we are all in. I mean, our phones ring at all times. Sometimes you just have to answer it. I really think it's discipline on saying, I can call this person back or I could text this person back, because our kids really look to us as, I want their attention. I know that they work a lot, but, in those little times that they're either out on the field or, during a dance routine, it's our job to really give them that focus and that attention, because we're in the business, once again, to give our family a really healthy lifestyle and to be there for them. And we're not doing that if we're on our phones.
And they're constantly checking us too, as they're doing their things.
Our 6-year-old calls them out all the time.
Yeah.
So let's switch a little bit. I know that you've done some multifamily in the last year or so. I think 8-unit or...
We bought an 8-unit. Yep.
And I know you keep rental properties. What is the trajectory for Faithful Homebuyers? Are you going to get all the way into multifamily? You think you'll always be in single family? Are you trying to build a big portfolio? Kind of, what's the goal and what's that look like as a business, but also as a family?
Well, we're trying to, we're going to be here for decades. So we're trying to create a business where people can thrive as we grow. Like I said, create jobs and housing and all that stuff, raise property values. The goal is to buy as much real estate with OPM as possible, give our investors double-digit returns, keep that money cycled in and out, but grow the portfolio of which we and the company can live off of and our family live off of. Generational wealth, we don't come from money. And so if we can level our family up and teach our family what's up on financial freedom, that's more powerful to me. But the goal is to add housing, provide jobs, create something that people are excited to go work every day and know who the brand and the logo is, and really add a service to this community of moving products that nobody else wants across the finish line.
We are a solutions-based company. So with our business, we just want to be the people that, Kansas City comes to. If they have a problem and, they need help, we want to be that solution for them.
But I mean, the marketing channels we've created is mainly solely focused on single family. But every now and then we'll get an Aplex lead or a 20-unit lead. And if we can add value, we could try to, create a win-win for everybody involved. But I mean, yeah, we love real estate, commercial, single family, multifamily.
Land, we buy land.
But for the most part, it's majority single family. But we wouldn't be opposed to any other real estate deal. We love solving problems.
Yeah, we've switched our business so many times. Like with, everything that we've seen in the market shift, we weren't wholesaling, up until just last year. So that was new to our business. So that meant letting go of some of the properties that we would just buy and hold.
Yep.
And now having to let go some of these properties, it's a little bit different now.
Yeah, we shifted our business model quite a bit during the market shift. We started wholesaling a lot more. We started cherry picking the ones we really wanted to hold. But yeah, we mainly started wholesaling a lot more. I'd say about 75% shifted to a wholesale as we finished up our rental products and stuff like that. So we flip about 30 houses a year, and we're wholesaling around 50 houses a year.
So you've both mentioned that you love this business and you love the KC market and you want to add all this value. 12 years from now, your 6-year-old will graduate high school. And, I know, but it happens. And trust me, it happens faster than you know. What does that look like? Do we hire someone to run the company and travel? Kind of what's the, everybody always says you can't sell or exit a house buying operation. And I kind of go back and forth. I mean, could you sell it? I guess. I don't know. Or do you put an operator in there and you kind of go to the owner's box? What's the plan, Candace?
We've kind of bounced ideas back and forth on what we want to do. Do we want to sell our company? Do we want to franchise it? Do we want to grow it? I think it changes yearly on do we want more time with each other? Do we want to step completely out of the business? I think our goal is to hire somebody to kind of take over our company so we can have more time and freedom with our family and do more things and even get into different businesses.
Right.
But still have Faithful around.
Yeah, the goal is to have an organization where everyone comes to work every day, can provide for their family every day off of the backbone of Faithful, of what we're creating, off the marketing channels we're creating. That's the goal, is to hire an integrator, hire somebody who can come in and keep the train on the tracks and keep everybody motivated while we can step out and still enjoy our personal freedoms.
How hard we've worked.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you, now that you've been through your market shift, the next one will be easier. 07, 08, I mean, it liked to crush me. I ended up being a stay-at-home dad when my wife had to go sell REO properties.
Yeah.
It was just the only way to make money.
Yeah.
So, but then this time the market shift, it didn't touch me at all, because you
weathered the storm once.
Yeah, you know what you don't know now,
Yeah.
right? Like what you didn't know, you now know. And I tell a story. I went to Investor Fuel in Scottsdale last year, right as the Fed's stock market had bulled off 10%. The Fed just did the 3/4 point raise or whatever it was in January. And I stood on the stage and I said, guys, this has changed. It is over. Sell what you have. Be done. This is going to be bad. And I just remember I almost got laughed out of that room. And then we went to the May meeting, and people were kind of like, that wasn't that bad. I mean, this isn't that bad. And then by the time we got to the August meeting, people were like, oh, my God, I hope that's over. And then we got to November, and people were like, oh, my God, we're all going out of business. This is awful. And I'm just saying this because you and anyone else out there that's made it through this one, the next one won't touch you. You now know to acknowledge.
Yes.
And if you've never been hit in the mouth,
That's right.
you don't know how much it hurts.
Yeah.
Right? The next time the market bows up to you, you're going to put your guard up, right?
Yep.
Like start liquidating inventory, restructuring your team, stopping taking on major rehabs,
Yep.
or what I did, and it lost me probably a lot of wholesale money in probably April, May, June, and July, but it kept me from having big problems. I told my team, I said 10% less. What we're willing to pay just went down by 10%.
Yeah.
And we were getting creamed at the kitchen table, but we didn't have to renegotiate. We didn't have to drop, and ultimately didn't end up with a bunch of inventory that, we wish we didn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'll be there next time. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Stick around. We'll be right back.
REI Inc. is a monthly business publication for real estate investors, covering all types of real estate investments and strategies. It is the most comprehensive real estate investment publication on the market. All of the articles are written by the top leaders in the industry, so investors are assured of always getting the best information possible. Each month, REI Inc. also profiles the top companies in the industry and provides insights and data into key regional markets. Along with their sister platforms, the REI Referral Network and Highest Invest, real estate investors have exclusive access to off-market investment opportunities and national acquisition and disposition initiatives. To learn more, visit www.rei-inc.com, where you can also access the REI Referral Network. Also, be sure and visit www.highest-and-vest.com to view the latest exclusive off-market assets with near immediate acceptance decisions and closing strategies. You can also email marketing@rei-referralnetwork.com to request more information.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harridge. I'm here with Anthony and Candace Coffey. It is time for the Money Minute, my favorite part of the show. Up to 60 seconds. Imagine there's someone out there. This is the only minute of advice they're going to get all month. So it can be about self, relationships, business, investing, whatever. It's up to you. The best thing you have for our audience. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
So over the last 9 to 10 years, what I've learned most and what I've taken from the military is mission first. If you make a decision, stick with that decision and see it through. Integrity goes a long way, and really knowing what you are to the market. It took me a long time to figure out who I was in the marketplace and what value I was bringing. Obviously, we have to buy houses at a discount, but for many years, it took me a long time to figure out how I can really add some service to everybody I'm doing business with. So once you figure out who you are and what you can do, that's very important, and that's just going to take reps in the game. Another thing I have to say is keep taking action, keep learning, keep being hungry. What's one of my biggest drivers is fear and me not living up to my fullest potential. So we are constantly educating, constantly getting in rooms with people who are better than us. We're constantly being humbled and constantly moving forward. Obviously, we take some hits in the mouth every now and then, but we value and are excited with what we do and what we do to the community and our lenders and everybody we do business with. We love what we do. We don't win all the time, but this is great, and we learn every time. So again, add value to everybody you can do business with, or anybody in your general life that comes across your path. Relationships over profits. That's the biggest thing I'd have to say.
So that was fantastic, man. And, yesterday we were at Investor Fuel and Kofi Anderson gave that great speech. Made fun of y'all a little bit, but I love one of the things he said that you just said was be you, right? Like so many times we think we need to be someone different to be successful. And Jeff Tennyson, the CEO of Lima One, he was one of the co-founders at B2R Finance as well. He was the guy that showed me that you could actually be super successful at very high levels without compromising yourself, right? Like he's just such a good guy, just a genuine guy. And Jeff Tesh at RCN, then I met him, same thing. Like there's people out there that are still true to who they are, yes, that are wildly successful. So I love what you just said. Just be you, stick to who you are, and the success will follow.
Yeah, when we first got into the business, I didn't know. I was green as hell. I didn't
know what a mortgage.
I didn't know what a mortgage was. I didn't know what a deed was. So we didn't know anything about the real estate world. So I didn't know what the day in the life of an investor was or anything like that. So being in the room with other investors and seeing what they do day in, day out, and really getting our reps in the business and figuring out what our schedule looks like, and
ask questions and figure out how people do it.
Being vulnerable, asking specific questions to get specific answers, and wanting to get better, stay hungry and get better. So
I love being the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah, I love to say, just be a fly on the wall, you know. Yeah. And I'm always like, Anthony, I don't know if it's going to work, but hey, we'll throw it out the wall, see if it sticks.
We learned so much from people like you who've been in the game a lot longer than us. And like I said, we value those relationships, and we just want to keep getting in front of those people and adding value and seeing what we can do to help grow this community and grow this industry. Because as you said, real estate investors are looked at in many different lights, often in the negative light until we're helping somebody out. So we really want to change the industry and how people are doing business and how people view investors in general.
So I'm going to have fun. We're going to go into rapid fire. What's the dumbest deal he's done?
Oh, man.
Come on.
I can't say it's going to be the dumbest deal that we've ever done, but I would say it would have been Mary, the one that we got blasted on social media with. We got blasted on social media because we were closing on a property, and, we got her, like, she stuck in her house, like she would not leave. And we bought her phone, bought her animals food, took her around, showed her properties, and she would not vacate it no matter what. And then she wanted to stay in the house.
Had you already closed?
Yeah.
It was a sub-2 with a carryback.
Yeah.
And we negotiated where we were going to find her unit after that. But after we closed the deal, went through escrow, everything closed, she got paid. She decided she didn't want to honor our agreement anymore. So it was a tough decision, and the one who was blasting us on the social media was the real estate agent who wanted the deal. So it wasn't even the owner herself. But yeah, it was a learning lesson there. But I mean, we still gave $25,000 more after the fact to the seller. It went through 2 court systems. There was no wrongdoing on anything. So I wouldn't say it was a wrong, stupid.
I would say we put a lot of money trying to get her out, like doing extra for her not to even leave.
Yeah, it was a learning lesson.
Yeah,
buying her a phone and everything. It's like, what are we doing?
So what's the best deal she's ever done?
Best deal she's ever done?
Oh.
I mean, she's usually...
See what I did there, right? I asked you the worst he's done.
I know. I'm like, why do I have to bag on the husband?
Well, she's usually listing our units, and she's just designing our units. I'm the ones usually picking them up, so I'm making the bonehead decisions on the A side.
So what's the best deal y'all have done together?
Best deal we've done, I would say just growing the rental portfolio, but if you had to narrow it to one deal...
Husky 207 would have been the best one that I've done.
Well, that's one you rehab, but the best one that was most profitable and quickest turnaround, I would say, actually, we've wholesaled a couple ones for a couple $75,000. Yep. So those were some,
and that's a lot in Kansas City.
That's a lot.
Because like in Dallas, we do 80, 100,000 frequently, but
yeah, I mean that's a lot for us. Our typical wholesale in Kansas City is usually around 10 to 20,000. So we have to be doing numbers to do that. But to get a $10,000 to $20,000 rehab, the product that we're putting the ARV is usually around 100 to 200. So we have to make sure our end buyer, there's meat on the bone for them too. And they want to keep coming back to us because just like any business, it's repeat customers.
Yes.
What's the most overlooked system or process you think investors could implement, quickly?
We are very different on how we market to Kansas City. We are big on billboards and TV commercials and even in movie theaters. So we even do a QR code on our vehicles that just say, scan me to see what we do. So it doesn't say what we do, but if everyone knows, I drive a G-Wagon. And all it says is a little QR code on the back of it. It says, scan to see what I do. You would not believe how many people scan that, and it just pops up to our TV commercial. So it's instant, credibility and branding. I think that is the most overlooked tool in like anything with real estate right now. Because you're not putting out there what you do. You're letting people actually do the research themselves.
It's like that TikTok guy that walks up to people with nice cars.
Yes.
Says, "Hey man, what do you do for a living to drive a McLaren?" Or whatever.
Exactly. So
we're real big on branding and logos, and Candace does a really good job at that. But also, I think of having a good CRM is very important, and a good follow-up process is important.
What CRM do you use?
Podio.
We're using Podio.
Podio, and you custom built that out?
Yes.
You gonna start licensing it out like everybody else?
No.
I thought about it when we first got started, but then I was like, man, I got into this business to work less, not more. Like, I want to be a mom and a wife still.
People were coming up to us like, hey, could you do this? Could you do that? Because they liked our systems of how we were doing things.
Right.
But we're like, no, let's get our train on this, keep it on the track first.
Let us perfect it first.
Because it's getting about the right team and process in place, because we're still figuring it out, but we don't want to overload ourselves as much as we already are.
Yeah.
There's all the squirrels you can chase.
Oh my God.
Right.
Question, if you had to narrow it down to one marketing channel, what would it be?
TV.
We'd probably say TV.
TV, because it brings us more than just deals. It brings us relationships with people in our neighborhood. It brings us in relationships with lenders, and just everybody in the community sees who we are. I think TV is a really good outlet for anybody that sees our company.
But I think having 2 or 3 strong marketing channels and just sticking to those is really going to be impactful, because not everybody's going to see the TV. But I mean, if you have mailers and the billboards and TV, or a good strong PPC, that's strong. But if you had to narrow it down for us, we'd probably say TV.
TV.
All right, so we're going to run out of time soon. Parting thoughts, parting shots, anything we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about?
I would love to talk about TV with billboards.
Okay.
Having your TV commercial, you can use it in so many different ways. So we use our TV commercial for, like I said, our QR codes, instant credibility. We use them on our credibility packets that we give lenders, just a QR code with that TV commercial. We even put our TV commercial in movie theaters. So when people go to the movies,
lost 30 grand on that.
Yeah. When people go to, the movies, it's just branding, and people know who you are, and you reach a lot more people that you're not mailing to or cold calling. So I think just doing things differently than your average real estate investor, cold calling, mailers, text messaging, those are all great, but to stick out, you need to be doing something different.
I found that we're doing things just a tad bit differently, because every dollar that comes in, we're putting it right back towards marketing and culture and team. And so that's a delayed gratification. But the goal is, for the bigger picture, is to buy as much real estate with OPM, create a team, level everybody up where everybody's excited to do, and change the marketplace in Kansas City and provide jobs and housing.
So interesting. I'm going to go a little long here. You had mentioned that you try to pour everything back into marketing, but then you mentioned a CRM.
Mm-hmm.
I'm huge on ROI tracking. Is that a staple of your business?
KPIs are big.
Yeah, we track a lot of KPIs. Everybody in the business is tracking their daily and weekly KPIs, and we have a weekly meeting. And yeah, KPI tracking is big, because to get to your lag measure, you have to know your lead measure. And so how many steps to get to your goal, or whatever you have to do to get to your goal. And if you're not tracking, you can't measure it.
Yeah, you don't know what your business is really doing and what's performing and what's not. And that's with our virtual assistants too. We expect them to track their KPIs, how many calls they're making, how many leads they're, following up with, and things like that.
Also, what lead channel is performing the best, what unit is performing the best, having a case study at the end of each one, seeing what ROI it happened, see how ROI that unit performed, how long we held that unit, what problems we had with that unit, and how can we get better? Because we're constantly trying to get better each time.
I love it.
We're students of the game.
Yeah, we have our student caps on at all times.
Always.
I'm still a student of the game.
Yeah.
So I think we got it.
After 23 years, I learned something on every house.
Yeah.
Maybe not everyone, but dang near everyone, right? And I'm not impervious to mistakes, even after all the experience I have. So how do people get in touch with you?
we're on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram. We do Gmail, phone calls, anything really.
We're trying to get into more
YouTube.
market, YouTube and TikTok. But I mean, Instagram's Faithful Homebuyers KC.
On Instagram, Faithful Homebuyers KC. On Facebook, Faithful Homebuyers KC. You can get in touch with us through email, anthonycoffey@mail.com. I'm Faithful Homebuyers KC @gmail.com.
And then on Facebook, Anthony Coffey, Candace Coffey. We're public profiles, so you can check us out.
Very cool. Well, last chance. Anything else you will say?
Don't fix it, sell it.
Don't fix it, sell it. Learn who you are in the marketplace. Add value. Have integrity. And don't be afraid to fail. Keep moving forward. This is fun. It's not supposed to be too stressful. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to us. I'd love to see if I can help you out and not make the same mistakes we've made.
Be a student of the game.
Well, so thank you for being my test case. I've never had two people up here with me. I like it. We need more husband-wife duos on here. So
we had a blast. Thanks for having us. This
thank
is
you so
great.
much for having
Fantastic.
us.
We look up to you, Tim, and this is great.
Well, I look up to you guys. I love what you do. Congrats on your success, and congrats on the cheese was moved and you moved with it, right? You didn't just stand there and look for it at the same place.
In all reality, that's the best. I mean, putting yourself through a challenge, putting yourself in the deep end, and seeing what you're made of. I honestly take more pride in that. I mean, L's and W's are going to come. You know what I mean? But if you treat your wins like a loss and vice versa, you're going to be just fine. If you don't get too high or too low and stay neutral, you're going to be just fine.
Our business is built on taking chances, and risk is always going to be there.
That's part of it. If this was easy, everybody would be doing it. If everybody had the answers, everybody would be doing it.
Right. Well, thank y'all for your time today.
Appreciate it.
And speaking of time, we're out of it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Let us know how we're doing. Remember, your network is your net worth, and today you've been growing both. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Uncontested Investing Show. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time. The preceding program is furnished by RCN Capital LLC. The information provided is for general education purposes only and does not constitute any legal, financial, investment, or other professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by any speaker are the speaker's own opinion and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of RCN Capital LLC. No information contained in this episode should be construed as financial, investment, or legal advice from RCN or any individual, author, host, or guest. You should always consult a financial advisor before investing.